Happy Friday, my friends. Welcome to the Thadcast, episode number 325. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, fantastic. We should call it Friday. It is Friday, Feel Good Friday. Tomorrow morning, I wake up and I teach a cycle class, and I come back, and there is no agenda. Do you know what I mean? Are you feeling this on the weekends? Do you have those days where there is absolutely no agenda? In fact, Sunday is now my real day to rest because I don't even teach cycle on Sunday morning. I have nothing. Sunday morning, I wake up at whatever time in the world I want to wake up, and it's just good. It's just good. Do you have one day like that? 1 or 2 days like that? I'm telling you, right now, if folks needed a weekend, it is right now. And so much has changed this year. We're moving around and doing different things in different ways. And I think what has changed the most is all of the voices, not the ones in your head. Don't call 911 on me. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Don't start praying for Melanie. I would pray for her anyway, but I'm okay mentally. I sure hope so. But all of the voices telling us how to live our lives, what to do, what is moral, what is just. And some of these things are absolutely immoral. Some of these things are absolutely against the scriptures, are against what God's best is for us. And so when we interpret the scriptures, when we look at the scriptures, when we read a verse, we sit back and we say to ourselves, this is what God's best looks like for me and what it looks like for the world. And our culture today has taken so many things and twisted the truth. And they've said, well, if it is a pleasure of man, it is good. It has to be good, right? No, it does not have to be good. If you get angry at someone and in your anger you feel like hurting them, well, then you're going to go to jail possibly, right? If you act upon that, if you do something to someone else, you're in a lot of trouble. You know, you think about what goes on in the heart of man with sex. I mean, if you committed some of the sexual things that have gone into your heart, holy cow, who would you be? What would your life look like? And how much different would it be today? And Jesus was always concerned about the heart, but what he wasn't a stone thrower. He wasn't a person who pointed a heavy finger like the Pharisees did at people. And they would pick apart their life and their sin. I had a man like this in my life at one point many years ago. It's been many years now, which is fascinating to me because it doesn't feel like it sometimes, although it is starting to feel like it was many years ago. And his mission was to pick apart every little aspect of my life. And I didn't realize it. I thought he was a friend, and I thought he was trying to help me to become more humble, because he said I needed to become more humble, or to stop doing XYZ because I was doing XYZ, or to not do this and this and that. And when I finally snapped out of it, I realized all the things that this man had imposed on me were his own sins, were his own problems. And I had gotten washed up in his own crusade for holiness, which had taken on a structure that did not have Jesus at the center of it. Because see, when Jesus, my friends, is the center of the structure of our world, we see grace, we see love, we see moments we can't quite reconcile. I mean, Jesus is standing before the Pharisees in a jacked up court, and they're accusing him of blasphemy, which is strange because Jesus is God. And he hasn't done what they're accusing him of. And he could have snapped his fingers and called down 1,000,000 angels to kill them and destroy them. He could have terrified them with his own power in a split second, so much they would have had a heart attack and died. I mean, he could do anything, but he chose not to, because he had a mission, and his mission was to get to the cross. And you see, this is bizarre This is bizarre to the disciples and to his followers. This doesn't make any sense. Well, first of all, it's even beyond bizarre. It is a nightmare because they're watching this man that they adore. And adoration is a good word for how many of Jesus's followers felt. But this is this man that they adore, and he is going to this cross. He's just been beaten to a pulp by 300 to 500. That's about how big a battalion is. 300 to 500 soldiers had their way with his body. And now, whatever is left of him is making his way to the cross, with this cross down the streets of Jerusalem, and people are cheering. And all of this is going on. And it's hard. It's very hard right now for the followers of Jesus to interpret what is going on. And Peter's a mess. I mean, Peter's denying Jesus and he takes off. He's like, I'm out. What have I done? What have I done? That's Peter. He's sad, and John's run away. Some are just all over the place. They're scattered. It's a dark, hard time for the disciples. Jesus is gone now. It's over. This point, this part of their life. They don't know what it's going to be like down the road, what the world is going to smell like and feel like and taste like for them. They probably woke up like some of you do right now with this dread, with this feeling of absolute dread. And I don't know what to tell you all, but it kind of sucks if you think about it. It's just this darkness in the world in these moments after the death of Jesus on the cross. Now, you and I know the story. You know that Peter and John are going to be in a foot race in 3 days, and they're going to show up to something miraculous, an empty tomb. And then they will encounter Jesus multiple times in his semi-glorious, well, always glorious, but semi-glorified, might be the better word, resurrected state. If Peter and John were writing the story of how this whole thing would play out, they would have never written it like it was written by God. If you and I were writing the story of what it would look like for a Savior to come to the world, would we have had him born in a small city outside of Jerusalem in the year 2000 in a stable? And would we have had his mom be a single mom at the time he was conceived? And dad show up in the picture and stick? But dad is, what is that going on sometimes with Joseph and Jesus? I mean, it's like a father-son thing, but it's confusing. He's like an adopted father? Did that how that work? Or was it when Jesus was 7, was Jesus sitting there and like, hey, Joseph, what do you think if we did X, Y, Z? And Joseph was like, I don't know, you're God, let's do it, man. Let's do it. I mean, there's a lot of things that you and I could have a lot of questions about Jesus and about the scriptures and why God chose to do the things that he did. And then we look at our world today and we would say, if I were God, and then we pause and we sit on that for a second. Because who are we? Listen, I'm this guy, and I don't know jack. I don't. And I don't know what kind of knowledge you have. But if you would have lived back in those times, you would have never prophesied or read into the prophecies that Jesus was going to be born in a manger of such humble settings, and that he would not rise to the throne of Israel, but that he would be killed on a cross and rise from the dead 3 days later. I mean, the devil thought he'd won. I wonder if the devil thinks he's won again in 2020 as we move sometimes into despair and discouragement. And we struggle with the world around us to understand what to do. I mean, are we supposed to take a vaccine? Some people say no. A lot of people say yes. Are we supposed to just wait in this state that we're in now, or do we make the best of it? How do we plan for the next year or two? What do we think is going to happen? There's a lot of decisions that you and I are making that we never counted on making before. Because this year has not been at all what you and I thought it was going to be. And I remember thinking this several times in my life. When I started a new school, and the first day or two, I felt like the most popular kid in the school. And 3 weeks later, I was removed from that school because of the bullying had gotten so completely out of control, y'all. I think I shared that this week on one of my episodes. And so we have these stories in our life, and they still maybe don't make sense. But maybe this is what makes sense. Proverbs 3:5 says, "Trust in the Lord with all of your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding." I don't even get me sometimes, to be honest with you. I don't understand why I struggle with some of the things that I struggle with, or why I've made the choices that I've made, why I just can't get it right in a certain area, why I can't just wake up and feel refreshed and ready to go every single day. Now, mind you, I'm an optimist at heart, so I do pretty good sometimes. But I will say sometimes waking up this year has been a lot tougher to get out of bed, to be motivated, to be inspired, to get going. And when I look at the world around me, it's a world of memes. It's a world of jokes about this year and what it has been. And it's funny because it has been everything that God planned it to be. It has been all of that. And nothing has been outside of the realm of God's power over it. And that may cause you and I to have some questions over why certain things happen a certain way. There's this guy in the Bible named Job. If you know the story of Job, he was a good man, one of the greatest men in his time. He had family, he had riches. He was known for being a good man. He prayed for his children every day for the forgiveness of their sins. He loved the Lord with all of his heart, and God had blessed him greatly. And in a few moments, everything was taken away from him. Everything. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. Job is so broken. He goes into the streets and tears his clothes and falls down in a heap of dust and ash. And he's laying there, just broken and sobbing. And his friends come to console Job. But what they do is they don't understand. None of this is fitting into their understanding. So what happens is they start to ask questions of Job. And they ask questions for literally like 36 chapters, 33 chapters. I think it's one of those two. And it's bad. They think Job has done something to bring this on themselves. Now, the Bible doesn't say this, but I've always believed that they have to say that to Job because they're in terror that this could happen to them. This is too close. This tragedy is too close to them. And now they are very afraid. So they know in their heart the only path to reconcile this in this moment is that Job brought this upon himself. But he didn't. He didn't. But God blessed Job and forgave his friends. And Job received more blessings, twice as many blessings as he ever had before. Why? Because God wants to give us stuff? No. because this story for Job needed to remain true for 6,000 more years. I think the story of Job's about 4,000, 2,000, I don't remember what it should be. So it's an old story. It's one of the oldest stories in the Bible. And we resonate with this today as we reconcile Proverbs 3:5 in our heart. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. But the world tells you to lean on your own understanding. But my dear friends, where's that really going to get us? But more confused. I talk to folks all the time, people who don't believe what I believe. And I think the most depressed people in the world are the Christian universalists who believe that Jesus came for everybody. And it's like this golden ticket that Jesus is Willy Wonka and he's going to hand them out to everybody at the end. He'll say, my name is Jesus, by the way. Here's your golden ticket. And when you talk to these folks, they don't understand that all of the scriptures are legit. They just take pieces of it and then they work it into their cultural ideologies. And it's supposed to make sense to everybody because we've moralized this thing so much and we made it so that nobody has to be separated from God for all of eternity. Because the heart is always right, isn't it? Isn't man always right in how we believe and moralize everything? No, of course. And you and I know that we've had cultures in history who have determined what is right, like the Nazis. They determined what was right, like Stalin, right? Like the genocides that have gone on in the 20th and 21st century all over the world. But people have determined that the rights of a woman, supposed rights of a woman choosing to abort her baby, justify the murder of our most vulnerable and our most innocent. You want to lean into your own understanding? Let me tell you about your and my understanding. It has a root of evil in it. And we need to know that, and we need to live like that. We need to respect that when we go before a holy God. And that's why we trust him in the conversations and in our lives today, because he knows so much more than we do. God has the whole picture, just like he had of Job. God has the whole realm of history, the past, the present, and the future. We serve a God who knows everything that's going to happen in the future. And this has all been orchestrated in such a way for as many people to become followers of Jesus that would turn their hearts to him, that would give all of their hearts to him. And you and I don't understand how it's going to work. We have no clue how it's going to work. And we may not know any of the answers in our lifetime. I wrote a book. I wrote a book called God is For You. And I remember telling somebody after the initial sales flopped, and it wasn't the thing that I kind of hoped it might be, right? I thought, I'm going to write this book and it's going to make money for the family. Because that's what it's really all about at the end of the day, right? The fame we can all, we'll take a pass on everybody knowing our name. Because that's a whole other problem. Then I'm not interested. But I thought, man, I'd like to make some money off this sucker, right? Just to help pay the bills. Because it's tight, you know, and it's been a hard year. And we're good, by the way. But, you know, it would have been nice to make a cool $1 million and buy one of those jet skis. Y'all have a jet ski? I don't have a jet ski. I think I would probably fall off a jet ski a lot. But hey, why not, right? Although we live in New Hampshire, so I'd be able to use it like 2-3 months a year, and that's it. So no jet skis. Bad investment idea. Anyway, back on the topic. I wrote this book. And I got to tell you, I wrote that book for a couple of people. I think I sold like a couple hundred copies. And the messages I got from folks about a book called God is For You is that they believed it. And they believed that God was for them. Right? If you are a follower of Jesus, God is for you. And that's how we reconcile some of this. This is how we trust in the Lord with all of our heart. We understand the identity of our God, who he is, what he's doing, what he's done, and how much he loves us. That's where it has to start, this foundational base from the scriptures of truth, of how good God is and how much he cares about you and me. My encouragement and challenge to you, my friends, is to take a step back today and ask yourself this question. 2 questions. What does it look like for you right now to trust the Lord with all of your heart? And will you do it? Will you do it? And I know for me, I can tell you a lot of stuff that it would look like for me. But I would like to start my day in this manner. In this manner of trusting him, no matter what happens today, to trust the Lord with all my heart, because he is good. And he's got the whole realm of history, like I said, the whole realm. It's so good. It's so good. He's such a good and loving God. So be inspired and motivated today, my friends, to give all of your heart to Jesus, all of your hope, all of your love, all of your trust. He is with you. He loves you. And God is for you, Romans 8:31. He is for you. He is for the followers of Jesus. Amen. Well, I hope you have a great day today, my friends. Thank you for taking some time and joining me on episode 325. As always, join us on our Facebook group. That would be awesome. If you share this with a friend, that helps. And rating and reviews on iTunes, so very good. Well, thank you again. And good grief, we'll be back on Monday. And until next time, my dear friends, may you be blessed.